لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. MashaAllah, I said to Hafiz, I wasn't expecting a young audience, MashaAllah, it's good. Alhamdulillah, it shows a lot of development that is going to take place with the youngsters in this community about such important topics, because if you are exposed to these topics now at this age, this will be the most important, valuable tool or talk that you'll ever listen to, I think, inshallah. So it's good that you're here, alhamdulillah. My talk is titled Mannerisms, about husnul khuluq, about good character. And I'm going to try and keep my vocabulary, which is my words, very simple because of the youngsters here today, okay? I don't want to do something that people saying, what is he talking about? So try and be very basic, inshallah. Before we actually go any further, I want to begin with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When we talk about character, we have no better example than the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the Quran by saying, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, that you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you are the best in character. You have an exalted, sublime character. Your character and mannerisms are amazing. Imagine if somebody was to say that, and that too was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in terms of your character. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions that the messenger is what also? Uswatul Hasana. He is a great example for us. Exemplary role model. Rahmatan lil Alameen. He's a mercy to mankind. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. When our mother Aisha radiallahu anha was asked, tell us about the messenger. We didn't see him. We didn't speak to him. We never had that opportunity. What was he like? And all she said was what? Kana khuluquhul Quran. He was just like the Quran. If you open up the Quran and you read the Quran about all the good things that we are supposed to do, you will find that in the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Do not backbite. Do not slander. Do not do this. Do not do that. Do not walk arrogantly. Do not steal. Do not lie. Do not cheat. She, our mother, said that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the walking, talking Quran, almost like an example. Yet, even though the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had such amazing qualities that Allah pointed out, yet Allah is still reminding the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to always be conscious of those around you. وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if you are ever harsh, and if you are ever strict or hard-hearted with those around you, they will turn away from you. Look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on one hand is saying you are the best in character, which no doubt the Messenger was, yet He's given a subtle reminder that sometimes if we don't watch the way we talk with the people around us, if our character isn't very good, inadvertently they may turn away from us later on. Something very important for us to understand. That is why this talk is very important. Because the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِيُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ, that I have been sent to perfect your manners. If there was one statement that we wanted to see from the Prophet, why was he sent? Yes, he was sent to take us out from the darkness of people who don't follow Tawheed and they do shirk and guidance of Islam. Alhamdulillah, yes. But if there was another generic statement, the Prophet is telling us this, that I have been also sent to perfect your manners. This is why today's talk is very important. Because we are living in very difficult times that people may have the best outward appearance, or they may look the part, but when it comes to mannerisms, they don't have these things, and what happens as a result? We are taking people away from the deen. We are not bringing them closer to the deen. So I'm not going to make this talk very long because young audience, I know as a teacher, the concentration level of youngsters is no more than 15, 20 minutes, then you start struggling. Then you start scratching. You start looking around. Then you start looking at the floor. Then you start looking at the ceiling. So 20 minutes, if you can give me 20 minutes to half an hour maximum, and you are as you are now, then I will be so happy. And I'm sure, mashallah, so far so good. Alhamdulillah. Let's look at the first point in the life of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he came to manners. That whenever any companion or anybody came to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they asked for some nasiha, any advice, his advice would always have something to do with what? Manners. For example, the first famous one is about one person who came, man who came to the Prophet and he said, give me some advice, give me some nasiha. And the Prophet ﷺ, he just told him two words. La taghdab. Just don't get angry. If you want advice from me, take this advice and you will be successful. And the man was shocked. Is that it? So he said, Awsini, give me some more. Is that it? And again the Prophet ﷺ said to him, La taghdab. And he kept saying that to him. The man said it 3 times. Why is that it? Give me some more. Because the Prophet ﷺ knew the importance of having good character and not getting angry. The Prophet didn't give him deep understanding of the Quran, no tafsir, no fiqh, no ulum of the hadith. No, he said basic. If you can live your life without getting angry, and you have a basic understanding of who Allah is, you don't have to go too deep, then you will be successful. The second example is when Mu'adh bin Jabal radiallahu ta'ala, when he's leaving for Yemen. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is running alongside him. Because the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this is also a sign of good manners. When somebody comes to your house and they leave, you escort them to the door. And sometimes to the car. And because Mu'adh is going to Yemen, the Prophet is leaving with him, slightly leaving from the outer parts of Medina, not as too far so that he joins him on the journey, but as he's going with him, he's giving him the most important advice. He said, O Mu'adh, ittaqillaha haythama kunt. Fear Allah wherever you are. Wherever you are. Don't think Allah is only in Medina. Allah is everywhere with His knowledge. Allah knows what you are doing. Fear Allah wherever you are, and if you fall into sin, follow up a sin with a good deed. وَخَالِقِ النَّاسَ بِخُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ. And when you go to these people in Yemen, be the best when it comes to your manners. Show them what Islam is. Be gentle, be kind, be merciful to these people that you are going to meet in Yemen. So this is the second example, that the Messenger ﷺ is going with Mu'adh, and many of the historians mention that this was true, that this was the last time that Mu'adh would see the Messenger ﷺ. So you can almost tell that the Prophet is giving him the most important advice, that when you go to this new group of people in Yemen, be good with your manners. When you are with them, when you are in the town or in the market, or when you are dealing with these people, be good with them. And the final example I want to share with you is when, again, the Prophet ﷺ is going to advise people, and he said, Ijtanibul kaba'ir, stay away from the major sins. And alongside this, the Messenger ﷺ said, overlook the faults of others. Overlook their faults. If somebody does something to you, or if somebody, is doing something that you don't like, overlook them. They're human at the end of the day. We're all humans. Don't become too upset that you hold something in your heart against this person, and you begin to get upset and angry with this person. So from these 3 examples, we can see, and these are all linked to what? Mannerisms. That the Messenger ﷺ is saying to the first man, La taghdab, don't get angry. To Mu'adh bin Jabal, the Messenger ﷺ is saying, when you go to these people, وَخَالِقِ النَّاسَ بِخُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ. And to the third advice, the third category, the Prophet is saying, stay away from the major sins. And also overlook the faults of other people. Yes, we are living, we're human beings. You will get things that will happen to you. He will say this to you, she will say that to you, this will happen. Overlook their faults. Don't worry. Don't get too upset. Don't get too disturbed. Have a good character. So this is something that we need to take on board, youngsters. That having these characteristics is very important. Let me just give you some of the virtues of having good character. The Messenger ﷺ mentioned that from the best blessings that anyone could have, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give, the best ni'mah, it's not about wealth, not power, not status, not whether you are ma'roof, you are a famous person, no. The best blessing, the Messenger ﷺ said, after Iman, obviously Iman is the ultimate blessing, is what? Having husn al-khuluq. This is the most important. Imam Tirmidhi mentioned this hadith, that the best manners, having manners is the best ni'mah that you could have. And nowadays, society looks at other things. They judge you with other things, right? You know, what car you drive, what status you have, what job you have, you know, what you look like. Allah doesn't judge you like with this. Allah judges you with your internal and external. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَى صُوَرِكُمْ وَأَمْوَالِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't look at your wealth and your mal and your status and who you are. Rather, Allah looks at your actions and your hearts. So having best manners is an indication that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy with you, because He has blessed you with something that He hasn't blessed anybody else with. Let me give you an example. Just say here in Stoke, if you have somebody who has mal, he has wealth, he has status, he's the mayor, he's the councillor, he's a big person that people think he is. And whenever he comes, everybody stands up and, you know, but he has no manners. Deep down, nobody will like him. Right? But because of his status, they'll say, oh, we have to stand up or whatever. But because of him having no manners, nobody will like him. Yet on the other hand, you might have somebody who is cleaning the streets in Stoke, yet he has good manners. His family will love him. His community will love him. His society will love him. His friends will love him. Everybody will vouch for this person, say, we all love this guy. Why? Because of his manners. So this is how important the Messenger ﷺ said, that if you have manners, consider this is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a ni'mah from Allah that if you have manners. Another narration, the Messenger ﷺ said that you can get to the level of a person who is sawam qawwam. Who is sawam qawwam? A person who fasts every other day and he stays up in night every other day. You know how difficult that is? Put up your hands if you fast in Ramadan. I'm not expecting all of you, young anyway. But you fast, it's mandatory, it's obligatory. And once you finish the fast of Ramadan, it's up to you whether or not you want to fast any of the other days outside of the month of Ramadan. Okay? But if you do fast outside of the month of Ramadan, it's very highly rewarding, spiritually rewarding as well. You are abstaining from food and drink, you have got consciousness in you, and you are fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody can stop you from going to the fridge and opening the fridge and drinking, but you fear Allah. Then in the middle of the night you get up and you're praying where everybody else is asleep. Yet the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is saying, you can get to that level of the person who is sawam qawwam. How? Bihusni khuluqihi. Just through your manners. You can get to the level of a person who is fasting and who is what? Praying. Fasting and who is praying his night prayers. Isn't that amazing? Put up your hands if you think that's amazing. Yes, put up your hands. I put up my hands because I can't fast every other day. I can't get up every night. But imagine just by being good, smiling, having good manners, you are getting the same type of reward. In fact, there was a very, you are a young audience. I'm going to use some terms now. There's a very scary type of hadith about one woman She used to fast, she used to stay up every night praying. But because she was bad to her neighbor, and it was asked, oh Messenger of Allah, what is she? Where is she? Where is she? Is she like getting rewarded? The Messenger said, Hiya finnar, she's in the fire. Those fasting and that staying in the prayer in the night time didn't benefit that lady, because she was bad to her neighbor, her mannerisms weren't good, her character wasn't good. So this is another good news for all of you youngsters, that if you want to get to the level of Sawam, Qawam, all you have to do is be good, gentle manners, and inshallah you will get the reward. And also, some of the scholars mention that the way you interact with people, ad-deen wal-mu'amala, the way you are with people is an indication of how good your deen is. So if you have a beard, and you pray and you wear all the, the turban and the miswak, and, you look the part, but you are bad with the people, then you're not really a good Muslim. I can stand here on the front saf every day for Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. And I could be the first one in the masjid and the last one to leave. And I could shake everybody's hand. Good. And he's a good person. He shakes people's hands. Look at this. But when I go home to my family, who I spend 99.9% of my time with, if I am not with them in a good manner, then this standing in the front saf, this is just a lie. This shaking people's hands, Assalamu alaikum, how you doing, smiling, it's a lie. That's why the Messenger ﷺ said, the best of you is those who are best to their wives and their family. I am the best. That's the ultimate measuring stick. That's the key performance indicator. How good are we with the people around us who we are with 99.9% of the time? And what normally happens to us, when we start praying, we become angry. Why does that happen? I don't know why that happens. If we look into the life of the Prophet ﷺ, he had the best manners. We become angry. Oh brother, have you seen Waseem nowadays? He never used to practice before. Now he has a big beard, he doesn't smile anymore. He's walking past, he doesn't smile. What deen is this? People are saying, what deen is this? He walks past us. His cousins come to his house and they say, oh, we haven't seen you for 15 years, what are you doing? He walks past, he doesn't give salam. What deen is this? This is not from the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He had the best manners. So the Islam, or having the best manners, is if your family can testify. Your son, daughter can say, Dad, mashallah, when he comes in, we get happy. The whole house lights up. We don't need the light. The radiance of the father coming in, that's enough for us. But normally it's the other way around. When dad walks in, everybody freezes. Oh my God, it's like Adolf Hitler has walked in. Where's the tea? And then bang! Where's my food? Hurry up! Shut up, you're making too much. Go upstairs. Is this what Islam teaches us? This is not Islam. Is when you have good manners and your family can testify and say, I know this brother. What's your name? Rehan. I know Rehan. I've known him, for example, Rehan is 30 years old. Say, I've known him for 20 years old. I can't say anything bad about him. He's always smiling. He's helping his friends out. He's of a good character. This is what Islam teaches us. So, also, what about in society? So one is with family. What about on the streets? Because it's become very fashionable now, isn't it? 50, 60, 70 years ago, if you study history of this country, everything was different. The attire was different. The attire, meaning the clothes, was different. Civilized. Bowler hat, three-piece suit. Every man used to wear this in the 1920s, 1910. Women were covered up proper. Long skirts. They had a hat over their head. Now, because we are living closer to the Day of Judgment, society is degenerating. So how was society then? Society was, good afternoon sir, good morning madam. If somebody opened the door, they would take their hat off and they would do this and thank you, have a nice day. This was society 100 years ago in this country. Now, if you are not walking with a limp and bad gangster, they think something is wrong with you. They think something, if your trousers are not hanging down and they can see your boxer shorts, they think if you're not doing this, they think something's wrong with you. There is something wrong with the person, of course, because that is not in conformity to Islam. That is because we're getting closer to the Day of Judgment. Each generation is getting worse than the generation before it. So how do you live in this society? We are living in very bad times. You will hear about youngsters stabbing each other. You are hearing youngsters shooting each other, killing each other. Why? Because he looked at me differently. He said something to me. He walked past me like this. All of these are bad things that will get you into trouble. Because these are not from Allah, these are from Shaitan. What type of behavior does Allah like? Allah tells us this quite clearly in the Quran. What type of people does Allah like? Allah says, وَإِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ. My slave are those. الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ حَوْنًا. They walk on the earth in a humble manner. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And when they are addressed by the Jahil, you know the Jahil, yo bro, what you looking at? You want to fight? They say, look brother, I got no time. No, I got no time. These are the people who Allah loves. Not the yo bro, come on. That's a waste of time. That's society which is worse. These people go to sleep, you know, when they get arrested. And they stab people. And they go to prison. They cry when they go to sleep every night. When the judge says you have got 20 years in prison for stabbing somebody. Why? Because you wanted to be a gangster and yo bro, you stabbed, you got 20 years. They cry, they go to sleep every night crying. Why? For a number of reasons. First reason, they won't see their family again. You won't see your mom, dad. They find out that mothers died 2 years later, they can't even attend the mother's janazah. That's the first reason. Second reason they cry is because now reality hits them. How does reality hit them? When you share a cell with two people, yourself and somebody else, in a small cell, and you only have one toilet. How disgraceful is that to the human soul, the violation? That when you have to go to the toilet, the person is watching. Or smelling. So the gangster is crying now because it's breaking his spirit. That on the streets he was yo bro, now he's embarrassed. And the first few days he tries to hold it in because but he can't hold it in because he's getting stomach pains. He has to go to the toilet. The toilet's in his cell. When in his cell, his friend is looking or trying not to look. They crack up, they cry. So, would you want to live a life like this where on the outside you think that people are giving you respect, you're a gangster, but when you go into the cells and you speak to these gangsters, they are crying. I wish I could leave here, it's embarrassing. If I'm not on the toilet, he's on the toilet. If I can't hear him, he can hear me. If I can't smell him, he can smell me. How disgusting is this? But this is what happens, guys, when you, or us, when we don't follow the laws of Allah. This is like a lesson for us in the dunya, and the lesson in the akhirah is much worse. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes those people who walk on the earth in a humble manner, again to do with manners, never ever get involved in any fights. It's against the manners. The Prophet didn't like this type of behavior. Allah certainly doesn't like it. And if you do get involved in fights, when you go to prison, tough. You'll be faced with a bunk bed, a smelly toilet, twice a day food, that's it. So is it worth it? No, it's not worth it. Also, something else I want to mention, which is against bad manners, is these. Mobile phones. Nowadays, this mobile phone has created so many problems. Before, if you had any issues with somebody, you would allow yourself or the situation to calm down. How would it calm down? If you had an argument with somebody, you would go home, he would go home, you wouldn't see that person, you wouldn't hear from that person, and then after a few days later, you are relaxed, you are calmed down, you see the person, you say, you know what, I'm really sorry for my behavior the last few days. You know what I said to you, I'm sorry. And he will say the same, yeah, I'm sorry as well, I lost it as well. And you hug and find. That was 10, 20 years ago. Now, these phones, you don't even have a chance to get home. before you get home, the WhatsApp message follows you. Who do you think you are? How dare you say this? Come and meet me at the car park. Let's go. You can't even detach yourself from the situation. And you don't, and you end up doing things which are bad. And this goes against the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well, which is about, if you haven't got anything good to say, just be quiet. We put this into this. Now, instead of saying it, we type it. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut. Put a zip on it. If you believe in Allah on the last day, say something good or just be quiet. And we, the internet's slow. Why is it slow? I can't wait for this message to get to him quickly. Can we get 5G, please? The Prophet is saying, if you haven't got anything good to say, just be quiet. Because you will be held accountable for what you say. But these smartphones are causing a big problem. You have riba and you have all these other things, backbiting, but more important, more worse than that is the fighting. Actual fights. All these fights you see on YouTube. How do you think they start? Because of this social, these comments. What are you looking at? What did you say? This, that, and then all of a sudden bring your gang to this area, bring your gang. They are communicating through this smartphone. And then this leads to big problems. So that's another issue I wanted to mention for the youngsters. Remember, this is all real life stuff that you can apply in your lives. Another thing the Prophet ﷺ mentioned is about, which is against the manners, is about your gatherings. Al-majalis bil-amanat. When you are in a gathering, you are with people, your friend wants to see you and he wants to say something to you, that's a trust. That's an amana. Don't go out and tell other people. This is wrong. Because this is against good manners as well. So if you have something and you have one of your friends who calls you to his house, he goes, look, Rehan, I'm just going to call Rehan because he's told me his name. So imagine Rehan gets older and he has a good friend who calls him and says, Rehan, I have to tell you something very important. Don't tell anyone. You won't tell anyone. This has happened, that's happened. Okay. Then Rehan goes and tells somebody else, saying, Rehan, this is a big breach of trust. It goes against manners. It goes against character. So this is something else that when you are growing up in life and somebody tells you something, then you have to make sure that you do not betray, because this is a secret that you're supposed to keep. Imam Shafi rahimahullah is quite funny, because what he mentioned about this is that the same thing that made you tell the secret is the same thing that made him tell the secret. Meaning that if you couldn't keep quiet anyway and you told this person, meaning try not to tell people things. The same thing that made you spit it out to tell him, then you can't blame him when the same thing happens to him, he goes and tells somebody else. So nowadays it's important, try it. If you've got trusted friends, tell them, but generally the general rule is don't tell other people, because it will go out and again it will affect, it will break down relationships, and that's another thing that goes against akhlaq. So as we're coming towards the end now, alhamdulillah, it's been half an hour. Alhamdulillah, like I said, it's good that you are showing this kind of concentration, because generally when I used to go and do school assemblies in schools, after 10 minutes everybody is fidgeting. So this is very good, mashallah, that you are very attentive, you are listening, you are focused. So let me summarize what manners is in an example that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu gave to us when he was asked, what does good manners mean? So he said good manners is in three things. For example, he gave an example. If somebody came to you, and he said this is like 3 steps to good manners. Somebody came to you and they started shouting at you and they're standing in front of you, you keep patient. That's one part of good manners. You don't say, what? Come on, let's go. That's one part. Second part of good manners is that that person keeps saying something so bad, he's really getting under your skin, that he even says things to your family or whatever, and you're about to lose it, but you control yourself. That's the second part of good manners. That you're just about to lose it. He just doesn't say, he's gonna notch deeper, and you're like, and you just control yourself. That's the second part. And the third part is that when the person goes after 5-10 minutes, he comes, he says things to you, he goes and he's gone. Do deep down in your heart you have no malice for him. You say, you know what, I forgive this person. You don't hold a grudge. You don't say, you know what, when I see you next time, you know what, I'm going to just show you. No. You're like, khalas, it's all over. That, according to Ibn Abbas, is 3 signs of good manners. And it is giving you this in an example, real life situation. Somebody comes to you and they're shouting at you, you keep calm. Then they go, a bit deeper and they say things which are really nasty. You're about to lose it, but you stay in control. And then when they leave and they go, you don't say, you know what, how can I get this person back? You say, forget it, khalas, he's gone. That is good manners. And imagine if in today's society, if we were like this, because this is from the prophetic manners. This is, look what they did to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and at the time of Fath al-Makkah, they were standing in front of him, the chief tribe people, one nod from the Prophet, yes, to Umar, their heads would have been knocked off. Yes, deal with them. This is what they did to me. This is what they did to my companions. No, the Prophet is saying, I forgive you just like my brother Yusuf alayhi salam forgave his stepbrothers and stuff. I forgive you. So this is an example. And finally, and also I just want to mention, even from our Islamic tradition, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he used to disagree with people. Yes, you will have disagreements. We hold on to what we believe in. We don't give away what we believe in. We don't compromise. But the manner in which we debate or we deal with people shouldn't get to such an extent that we hate somebody so bad that we don't want to, we're like, I hope he dies. Because Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he came to him once and he said, you know that your opponent, he had deviant beliefs and he was bad, he's passed away. Let's rejoice, let's be happy. And you know what Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said? He said, look, first he said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, to Allah we belong, to him. He said, shouldn't we rejoice? He's gone to what he has put in store for him. Allah will deal with him. But come on, have some, humanity. So he went to his family's house, he did condolence. He said, if there's anything that you need, this is good manners. That you retain your good manners. You disagree with people, of course. You push forward the stronger opinion. You say this is, what Islam is, but you don't take it to such a level where you say, you know what? Thank God he's died, let's have a party. No, look what Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah did here. That's another sign of good manners. So we are going to conclude now by doing this, by saying, remember, all these virtues and mannerisms are very important in Islam, but remember, Islam is the middle path. Because some of you sitting here might be thinking, you know what? I don't have to pray now. I don't have to fast. I don't have to give zakat when I get older. Just be nice, keep smiling. I'm going to Jannah. No. That's an extreme. That's an extreme on one side where we have people who are like, look, I don't need to pray. My heart is clean. I'm always good to my neighbor. No, that's one extreme. You have to pray. You have to do these things. And the other extreme to the other side is those people who do pray, but they have no manners. Like the Khawarij. Anything you do, you are a kafir. Takfir. If they were alive, if there are people who have certain characteristics living in today's 21st century across the world, ISIS is one example. Daesh is one example. They kill you. They don't like you because they think they are religious. No clemency, mercy in their heart. So for them, if you do one thing that they consider a sin, you've gone. So if they saw somebody who was smoking, chop off his neck. Kafir. That's another extreme. So what people who don't pray, and they say we've got manners, that's one extreme. People who do pray, but they have no manners, that's the next extreme. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we're in the middle. Always be in the middle. Where you don't have too much hope of Allah that you forget about the punishment of Allah, or you don't have too much fear of Allah like the Khawarij, they fear Allah so much that everything is kufr, they forget about the mercy of Allah. You should be in the middle. Pray, be good. Don't say, I'm not going to pray, but I have good manners. That is no good. And when you do start praying, and you start growing a beard, please have manners as well. Don't start writing off everybody. Because this is not the way of the Prophet ﷺ. He would call people towards his deen with the manners. And that is basically it. Alhamdulillah, we've come to the end of this talk. I'm very happy because for a young audience, alhamdulillah, I think you've been very attentive. Generally, if it's an older audience, the delivery style is different, everything is different, but because it's a younger audience, you've been very good, alhamdulillah. So what I'm going to do, Sheikh, I think I saw some chocolates here.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask 3 questions. Whoever can get the answer right, they're going to get some sweets. Okay? So, I want you to put your hand up. Who can get the answers for some of the questions that I'm going to ask you? The first question is, a person can get to the level of sawam qawam, meaning the person who fasts and prays. How?
Fasting every day and staying up all night.
No, that a person can get to that level of a person who fasts every day and prays, can get the same reward, but without doing that, how? Yes? You. Having good manners, mashallah. Come on, here, have this. Actually, you don't have to have a Milky Way. Come. You can have anything. Maybe you don't like Milky Ways. You can have Snickers, Galaxy. Okay, so that's one. Second question is this. What is, apart from after Iman, what's the greatest blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give to His slaves? If you get this wrong, then you won't be able to, because give somebody else a chance. But what is it then? Yes? Now after Iman, Tawheed, yes. What's the second? What's after that? What is the greatest blessing? Having manners, alhamdulillah. Take a sweet. Okay. The third and final question. This is a bit tricky now because the first two are very easy. The third one is this. Which companion was it that when the Messenger ﷺ was in Medina and he's probably seeing him for the last time, he's sending him to a country that is now known as Yemen? Which companion was it that the Prophet ﷺ is telling him to have the best manners, be good when you get there? Oh, mashallah, yes. You can have food for that.
Yeah, of course.
So, alhamdulillah, we come to the end of this talk now. I'm very happy because I see youngsters here. You are the future. You are the next generation. And we never used to have this in our Masjid where I used to grow up. We never used to have these type of talks when we were young. The talks we used to have was, this person raised a ship up after 600 years and everybody lived happily ever after, and if you eat here and you eat, no, they weren't relevant. And had we learnt about these things from our teachers when we went to certain mosques, then maybe society would have been different. But because the masjid is providing you with these type of talks where you are benefiting, and then you can implement this in your life, then you can thank your teachers and you can thank the people who deliver these talks. جزاكم الله خيرا. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.